I just wanted to share some thoughts on the shooting that took place. And I understand we don't have all the facts. We have just a little short video clip that was shown. And we have no context of anything else, hasn't gone to a trial. I get all that. I understand all that. I actually want to address something that's been going on for a lot longer that took me a while to realize. Actually, probably until I went to an Israel trip with about 30 leaders, ministry leaders across America from the East Coast to the West Coast. Very diverse group of leaders. And what opened my eyes to my own ignorance was hearing my friends talk about things that they deal with that I don't have to deal with on a regular basis. I'm talking friends talking about watching their own parents being racially discriminated, being treated poorly by people, public places, authorities. And then also hearing from my ministry friends talk about the anxiety they feel when they walk into the room and it's all white pastors or it's all white people. And it opened my eyes to my own ignorance, to my own inability to see and to resonate with how my friends really feel. And when stuff like this happens on the news, it only adds to the wounds or to the hurt. And many of my friends are amazing ministry leaders, amazing communicators. And I also have friends who aren't obviously in the ministry. And when something like this happens, my heart immediately goes out to them and to check in on them and to ask how they're doing. But the reality is as a white person, I didn't realize that my life is so much in such a way that I won't understand the full weight or the feelings or the thoughts that my friends have. And the reality is my own two children and my family, we don't ever have to have a fear or feel like we're going to be treated poorly or looked down upon or look like we're the cause of some issue, or a fear of going out at night or driving alone somewhere. We don't have those fears, but my friends do. It's something I will never be able to understand fully. I also am not in a line of history of slavery or mistreating or public humiliation. I don't come from that. And I may never fully understand or grasp the pain or the reality of that or even the history of that. But when my friends hurt, I can hurt too. And when my friends feel a certain way, I can empathize with them, call them, check in on them. And I can do my part to speak up and to play a part. And so all my friends who are white watching this, we have a job to play to speak up where we see injustices. And I want to point our attention not to the race thing. I want to point our attention to someone amazing who spoke a lot about life, and it's Jesus. And Jesus said a man's life will be measured by two great commands. How well I love God with all my heart, and that's what I want. But how well I love my neighbor. And neighbor in the mind of Jesus wasn't someone who looked like me. Neighbor in the mind of Jesus was someone who was different than me, who had different beliefs, different ideas, different thoughts, who held on to different beliefs than me. How well do I love them? We will not be measured by how many successes we had in this life or how many rewards we got or how much money we got. We will be measured by two things. How well I loved God with all my heart, and did I love my neighbor? And obviously the things that we're exposed to tell stories, stories sell, but there is no right for injustices and cruel acts towards humanity that may look different than me or not have the same color of skin as me. And so I did a couple things last night. I reached out to friends who I met on the Israel trip, friends who I have in my life that saw the same video as me and who are hurting or broken. I also reached out to police officer friends, because what this does is it now pigeonholes them as like they're always this and every police officer is this way. And you know what? Police officers get treated horribly as well. I think our best place moving forward is where our focus is and what Jesus said in saying, hey, when someone slaps you, turn the other cheek. When someone asks you to carry something, carry it an extra mile. Seek out mercy, seek out justice, look to forgive, to keep our thoughts and our ways on who Jesus was and what Jesus came to do. And then I think about this. If there was anybody who could relate to being killed unjustly, it would be Jesus himself. Everyone had left, everyone had deserted. He took an innocent death, was executed by the Roman government, put on the cross by the call of religious leaders saying he's messing everything up. He's coming against Caesar. If there's anybody who knows what injustice feels like, it would be Jesus Christ, who hung on a cross for all the injustices in the world, all the evil in the world, all the sin in the world. He took it upon himself. If there's anyone who can resonate with injustice or being spit on or being treated poorly or getting a death they didn't deserve, it would be Jesus. So where I find my hope today is that same Savior who was beaten on a cross, who was treated not fairly, but yet had to do it and did it out of obedience to take upon the wickedness, the evil, the racists, the terrorists, to take upon the sin of humanity upon his very back, so that all who might believe in him might know redemption, might know freedom, and might know mercy. To my fellow white friends, brothers, sisters, you name it, we need to look beyond ourselves, and we need to stand up for the injustices going on in the world. And just how Jesus called us to love, he's called us to love our neighbor, people different than us. And so before we speak, we need to watch our words. And before we act, we need to think before we act and stand up for those who for years have been treated wrongly, who've been treated with discrimination, and standing up for our fellow neighbor, our fellow friends. Jesus would do this. And it's hard that it's taken this long for me, but my eyes needed to be opened. And I'll just say this. One of the most beautiful heaven on earth conversations came in Israel at a dinner table, where grown men were weeping and crying, sharing the hurts and the pains they've experienced and the mistreatment. However, watching forgiveness pan out, watching a diverse group of friends eat a meal together and have a common denominator that one day we will spend eternity in heaven with Jesus. But until that point, it's our job to reconcile, to heal, and to bring awareness and to bring life where there's been hurt, forgiveness where there's been wounds, and love and mercy to all who are in need of love and mercy. God bless.